Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Spelling, a poem by Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood is a Canadian writer, and she begins this poem by describing her daughter playing with the plastic letters that are red, blue, and yellow. Red, blue, and yellow are basic primary colors that are the building blocks of other colors, and this depicts that her daughter is learning the basics of her life. Next, she learns to read and write the words. After getting educated, she makes spells. These words refers to witchcraft because we say making spells means using witchcraft, and in the old days the women were considered as witches as they cast spell on women. Then she talks about the conditions of being a woman. First, society doesn't allow women to write and they have to close themselves into rooms and hide their identity. Second, motherhood is also a problem for them. They can either nourish their children or leave alone this family life and go into writing. Thus, a woman has to struggle between her profession and motherhood. She talks about the Holocaust in which women were captured, tortured, raped, and ultimately made to abort children or their legs were tied in order to prevent birth, which ultimately led to their death. She quotes the example of Mary Webster, who was accused of witchcraft because she tried to raise her voice. Her mouth was covered by leather in order to strangle her words. Though she was saved, men of that age tortured her throughout her life. She gives life to the shared experience of oppression that survived throughout the ages. The literacy among the women is their power, and it is this power which is suppressed by the women throughout the ages. She portrays the harsh realities of the condition of women in society. Bodies of witches, that is, we should consider this as women, were burnt along with their powerful words. Their imagination flowed like blood with their bodies erupted like rocks. The suffering of women became mouths and spoke out words. Spell means to enchant or convey impressions. She asks how do they spell and identify the things like blood, sky, and sun. In the end, she says that no one can name himself though male or female. The very first name is given by someone else. The poem thus begins with a note on feminism but ends with concerns of all genders. The poem goes like this. My daughter plays on the floor with plastic letters, red, blue, and hard yellow. Learning how to spell. Spelling, how to make spells. Here, as the daughter grows up, she knows how to cast a spell on men, meaning she tries to attract men. I wonder how many women denied themselves daughters, closed themselves in rooms, drew the curtains so that could mainline words. That is, she's saying there are so many women who avoided having children, and because they did not want people to know that a woman is writing, they closed themselves into a room. They did not reveal their identity and they wrote because they wanted to write and express their thoughts. A child is not a poem. A poem is not a child. There is no either or, however. I return to the story of the woman caught in the war and in labor, her thighs tied together by the enemy so she could not give birth. Ancestress, the burning witch, her mouth covered by leather to strangle words. A word after a word is power. At the point where language falls away from the hot bones, at the point where the rock breaks open and darkness flows out of it like blood, at the melting point of granite when the bones know they are hollow and the word splits and doubles and speaks the truth and the body itself becomes a mouth. This is a metaphor. How do you learn to spell? Blood, sky, and the sun. Your own name first. Your first naming. Your first name. Your first word. And here ends the poem. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends. And if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.